Today I'm very excited because we have what is being advertised as the world's lightest gaming mouse without holes. And I'm also super stoked because I may be the first one in the world to do an unboxing and impressions video of this mouse in English. And so of course we're going to put that advertised claim to the test. I can't wait any longer. Let's get started. So I do want to say when I do these first impressions and unboxing videos that it really is exactly that. And so most of the time I honestly just feel like a kid at Christmas, but I do really recommend waiting until my future videos where I've had time to do a full review before purchasing a product. Man, that is just perfect packaging. Look at that. This is also my first mouse from Ninjutso, and I've always heard really good things, but they are a smaller company and not as well known. This is actually the third version of the Sora. There's the original Sora, there's the Sora 4K, and this is now the Sora V2. The biggest difference is that this is claiming to be 39 grams without any holes, which if true could potentially be the world's lightest gaming mouse without holes. The other big difference is the V2 here has the potential to go up to 8,000 hertz. Now it does not come with a dongle to go to 8,000 hertz, and it's something that you're going to have to purchase separately. And honestly, I actually don't even recommend purchasing that dongle. Most pros today are still playing at 1,000 hertz. Realistically, you're not going to see any benefit beyond 1,000 hertz, and it's just going to drain your battery faster. Packaging is actually super nice, and I need to give a big shout out to Ninjutso because they shipped it out within 24 hours. Man, they even have a little pull tab here that makes things easy. Continuing with the opening, let's see if this just pulls out. Oh my gosh, it does. That is beautiful. That is too much. I'm like shaking. I'm actually so excited. The reason why I personally ordered this is because there's a lot of very lightweight mice out there, such as the Final Mouse Ultralight or the WL Beast, but a lot of those mice are really tailored more for fingertip grip or just not as ideal for claw grip. So this mouse has a shape that is more tailored for claw grips. I definitely agree that lighter is better when it comes to gaming mice. Oh, it comes in a little baggie. That is nice. Let's see here. First time holding the mouse. Put this to the side for a second. Holy crap. Holy crap, holy crap. That is light. That is insane. Wow, that is so freaking noticeable how light that is. It does not have the skates on it. You have to put that on yourself, but let's bust out the scale. Both these come in at around 60 grams. And we're gonna weigh those too. So the GPX2 comes in at 60 grams. I have aftermarket skates. These are core pads and of course the grip tape all over. So it's gonna be a little above. 63 seems about right. And then we have the Viper V2 Pro, also core pads and then grip tape as well. 60 grams. So that's exactly what we expect from those two mice. And so the big reveal, let's see what this comes in at. 39.5 as advertised. That is insane. They also do say on their website that the white weighs potentially 1 gram more. So I was actually expecting this to be 40 grams. This is coming in underweight as advertised. That is very impressive. And just feeling the weight difference is so noticeable. These feel like rocks now. Now let's check out how durable and solid the Sora V2 is. Testing out the side flex. I'm squeezing on both sides of the mouse very hard. More than I ever would when gripping the mouse normally, and there doesn't really seem to be any side flex. Okay, I found a tiny bit right here in this specific spot, pretty much at the bottom of the side curves. Only at that specific spot, and only when I'm squeezing very hard do I feel a tiny bit of side flex. It's very tiny, and that is not something I would ever feel with normal usage. That's definitely a non-issue. Now let's go to the back over here on the hump. There's nothing. Absolutely nothing on the top of the mouse. I'm pushing in very hard here. I got nothing on the top of the mouse. That feels very solid. At the bottom, okay, I can immediately feel at the base of the mouse there is a little flex inward, and it's taking a lot less pressure, but you're never going to be pressing down on the bottom of the mouse. So once again, that's another non-issue. This is pretty crazy considering how lightweight this mouse is. It is extremely solid. I have no rattling or jiggle whatsoever, and it does feel like one solid piece throughout the entire mouse. This is easily an A+ in my opinion. This is just shocking how solid it really is. The coating feels very nice. The coating actually feels very similar to the Pulsar X2H that I had recently. It feels more like a matte finish. It's not glossy by any means, and it doesn't really feel slippery. It does have a tiny bit of texture that is still smooth, and even with the bright lights that I have on now, it's not really reflecting light that much. There is texture here on the Viper, but it definitely feels more plasticky. The coating on the GPX is also very nice. The coating gripping on all three of these mice are definitely top tier in my opinion. And as you can see, I do love my grip tape. I really cannot get over how light that feels compared to the other two. They really just feel like rocks. That is so funny. Gosh dang it. This might ruin me. It might be really hard to go back to a heavier mouse. On the back, we do have a very simple on-off switch, and I really like that there's no DPI button. For me, that's not a necessity. Small little logo on the side. The V2 here is also supposed to have a different shape from the other two Soras. Now, unfortunately, I don't own those mice, so I can't do a direct comparison, but there's a lot of great sources online that can help you determine the shape of a mouse. A few websites that have really helped me in the past are eloshapes.com and then rtings as well, and I'll put links in the description if you guys want to check those out. So far, this mouse feels very premium, even though it's very lightweight. It's kind of tricking my mind because when things are lighter, a lot of times it makes me think it might be cheaper. But so far, Ninjutso gives no sign that this is a cheap or not a premium product. Moving on to the next big thing, how does it feel in the hand? I haven't even gripped it yet properly, so let's go. Oh man, that is nice. Okay, so coming from the Pulsar X2H, that's what it immediately reminds me of. The rear hump is definitely more noticeable, like the X2H, but the hump in the back is definitely not as big and not as profound. Also, the X2H I had was the normal size X2H and not the mini. This mouse here might actually be closer to the X2H mini than the full size one, which is one of the reasons why that hump may not feel as profound. But that's also how the Sora is more specifically designed for claw grip. And what I mean by that is if you look at the side profile, you'll notice that the hump is more focused on the rear. The GPX2, the hump is more centered. And then with the Viper V2 Pro, the hump is also more centered, but it's actually much flatter as well. But right now I'm trying to find something that specifically fits my needs, which is claw grip. This grip feels wonderful. One thing I am slightly concerned about is that the width of the mouse is much thinner than what I'm used to. And then it's also curved at the sides, specifically designed for claw grip. It does feel really nice now, but one thing I'm very aware of is that if it's too small, it could cause fatigue in the hand because my hand is so cramped. The lighter weight could mitigate that, and it could be a non-issue altogether. The other thing that I'm liking about the shape right away is that these sides are curved in, but they're not so aggressive that I feel like I have to put my fingers exactly in the center of the curve. That if I need to, I can put it a little bit lower or a little bit higher, and it actually still feels like a very comfortable grip. Okay, let's move on to the clicks. Here we go for the left click. What the heck? That is nice. That is very snappy. I can spam that very quickly. Like very quickly, right away. Okay, so let's check out the post and pre-travel. So we do have a good amount of post-travel there right before the click. The click is light. It is so light that I'm actually clicking it by accident by trying to get rid of all the post travel. But there's enough tension on the mouse pushing outward that I don't feel like I'd ever accidentally click it. It's just really because I'm trying to get to that breaking point. So like all that right there, you see that little wiggle, that's the post travel. And then, okay, post travel, there's a good amount of post travel there. Pretty wiggly, which feels very similar to the Viper V2 Pro. I give props to Logitech because their clicks here are probably the best I've ever felt. So I wouldn't say that these clicks are necessarily better than these other two options, and they're definitely not worse. I will say that it's probably the lightest click, which is a good or a bad thing, depending on what you're looking for. And the Sora V2 is definitely the easiest to spam. The Viper V2 Pro is the second easiest. And then the GPX2 here is going to be the third. Yeah, that's definitely just the lightest click between the three. That is very light, very light. It's weird because I feel like the tension is lighter on these clicks compared to the other two, but I also feel like it snaps back into position faster for some reason. That doesn't make sense at all. I might be crazy. Moving on to the right click. This one does feel maybe a tiny bit heavier, not by a whole lot, but just enough when I'm paying close attention to it. Definitely not an issue. It's so slight that if I wasn't paying very close attention to it, I would have never noticed it. Pre-travel feels to be about the same, maybe even less on the right click. That's all that wiggles right there anymore, and then it clicks. A tiny bit more pre-travel on the left click, by like a hair, if that. Then also less post-travel on the right click as well. That's all the post-travel we have compared to the left click. Yeah, you should be able to see this on camera, but that's the post-travel there. Compared to the right click over here, this is the only post-travel we have. See, it doesn't go closer to the edge of the mouse. Yeah, you can actually see the difference between it. This is being super nitpicky. It doesn't feel bad by any means, and it doesn't feel radically different. It's literally just a hair. And the difference in tension is so minor, those are all completely non-issues. But I like to give you guys as much detail as possible. I'm very happy with these clicks. I have no complaints. Those are not complaints at all, for the record. So now when I game on Warzone, which is my main game, the mouse wheel is extremely important because I have my grenades and tactical grenades on them, and sometimes movement keys too. And so I've had issues in the past with the GPX2 of this mouse wheel scrolling up and down too easily and actually activating on its own. So first time trying out the mouse wheel, let's see how it goes. That is nice. That is good tension. It's very unlikely that it would activate on its own. Definitely a lot more tension than on the GPX2 here. God, that is so soft. What are you thinking, Logitech? Definitely more tension than even the Viper V2 Pro. So the most tension scrolling up and down on the Sora. It feels like good tension though. It also reminds me of the Pulsar X2H's tension, that it's not so hard that I can't activate it quickly, but it doesn't give me that feeling of spinning or overspinning as soon as I stop pushing up or down on it. Like once my finger's off the wheel, it stops exactly in place. That's really good. And it's not that these other wheels overspin at all, but the tension on the Sora is definitely more noticeable, that it feels like it stops on a dime as soon as my finger's off the wheel. And then let's try mouse 3, which is clicking down on the mouse wheel. Solid, a little bit on the heavier side. Okay, so that's interesting. If I'm using the mouse and I'm playing and then I need to click down on it, this is most likely because of my specific hand size, but it feels like the position of the mouse wheel for me is a little bit lower than ideal. I want to press it like right here at the top of the mouse wheel instead of down there. This only really applies if you have the exact same length as my hand, which is about 19 centimeters, but it's not hard to do at all. Once again, that's really nitpicky. That's not a reason I wouldn't buy this mouse. See, it feels more comfortable to go flat fingered. The mouse wheel also feels lower because the mouse slopes down towards the front because it's designed for that claw grip with the hump in the back. And I think that's also why it feels a tiny bit trickier to click down on mouse 3. So far, everything about the clicks and the mouse wheel feels like everything I would expect and want from a $100 gaming mouse like this. Moving on to the side buttons, we do have a good amount of pre-travel, but the post-travel, I'm gonna say right now, that's the best post-travel I've ever felt. There is post-travel, but it feels like there is a wall behind it after the small amount of post-travel. That is great. Where a lot of other mice, especially the GPX2, after you click, it goes in so far. So I will say that I believe the Pulsar X2H that I had recently had better side buttons in terms of tension and how solid it felt, but the Sora here has the best in terms of the post-travel. Yeah, this is just being super nitpicky. This feels absolutely premium. There's nothing wrong with these buttons. Position-wise, I do wish they were a little bit lower, but that's going to be a very personal preference for me. I could definitely activate the side buttons easier if I put my thumb flat, where my natural grip is with more the tip of the thumb, pressing down on it because I claw grip. So maybe I'll just grip it with the flat side of my thumb instead, and we'll see how it feels and if that affects my aim at all. So far, so good. Everything feels absolutely premium, and I have no complaints whatsoever. Now let's continue with the rest of the unboxing and see what we get. Packaging has been perfect and feels very high quality, and there's just no dents or any corners caved in. So props again to Ninjutso for shipping and packaging it so quickly. All right, here we go with everything else. Stickers, like we always get. 2 different skates, user manual, dongle, and our cable. All right, so now we have everything else that comes with the mouse laid out, and the first thing I like to check out after the mouse itself is the cable. And nice, this is a good cable. It does seem to be paracorded, which makes it a little bit lightweight. This is probably the second best cable I've gotten from a gaming mouse. The first one is going to be from Pulsar, which was noticeably lighter than this one, but this is on par, if not better, than the Viper V2 Pro. And then the worst cable I've ever gotten has been the one that comes with the Logitech GPX2. And so cables don't matter as much these days because most mice are wireless, and if you keep a good eye on the battery life, there's a good chance that you'll never actually use the cable in game. But it is a detail I do appreciate, and something that should not be slacked on when spending $100 or more. It is USB-C to USB-A, which is the standard today, and the plugs themselves seem very normal, not extra large or oddly shaped, so I can't really see this being an issue using on any other device. This cable is going to be my new main cable for sure, because it's better than the other 2 that I have, and it's in white. And then the Pulsar one I mentioned, I actually returned that mouse because because it was defective. Pulsar is having some major QC issues right now in early 2024. So I'd be very cautious buying from Pulsar. If you want more information on that, I did a full video on that very recently. Moving on, let's go check out the dongle. Oh, this is cool. There's a little squishy pad at the bottom that will help it from moving around a little bit. I believe Razer had that as well too, but that's nice. A little bit extra thought, so it's a little bit less likely to slide around. It's also a little transparent. And then looking closer, this appears to be the dongle and the adapter all together in one. Well, I guess there's no adapter. And let me show you the difference. This is the Razer Viper V2 Pro setup. This is going to be an adapter for USB-C to USB-A. And then this is what wirelessly connects to the mouse. So really not a big issue, but if you are expecting an adapter, you're not going to get it. So the other big win in my book is the skates are not applied to the mouse when you get it. So this is awesome for a couple of reasons. Number one, I almost always put aftermarket skates as soon as I get any new gaming mouse, which means I don't have to destroy the original ones and I have backups if needed. Also, if I'm doing further modifications, if I'm going to open up the internals of the mouse, which is going to be removing these 4 screws here, I can do that right away. And same thing, I don't have to destroy the original skates just to get to the internals and change something out. This is also the first time I've seen a company provide 2 different skates. So that's another big win in my opinion. A little bit more minimal and less weight, or I can go for a more classic design. But let's weigh them to see what it's going to come out to. First, we have the minimal skates. Keep in mind, we do have the paper still attached to it. So let's see. The minimal skates come out to be 1.5 grams, and then with the mouse, coming out to be 41 grams. Let's move on to the other skates. 2 grams, so a half gram more if you want to go with the normal skates. And then with the mouse, 41.5, exactly as expected. I'm going to be putting on the larger and heavier skates first for immediate use because most likely I'm going to change these skates to aftermarket skates like I normally do. And I like these better, so I want to save these for longer term use. And these are going on just so I can use the mouse right away. So it's important that whenever you put on skates or grip tape that you properly clean your mouse. So we're going to be using rubbing alcohol and a few Q-tips. This is definitely more important on the grip tape where the skates on the bottom here are always going to have pressure pushing down on them, so it's extremely unlikely that skates will ever come off. But for grip tape, this process is much more important. I do it just to be thorough, and it doesn't take long at all. And then the important part is that after you clean it, make sure you let it air dry. Don't wipe it clean. You want to just let the alcohol evaporate on its own, which happens very, very quickly. Almost forgot to clean the sensor ring. So the other parts are dry, so we can start with those. Trying not to touch the bottom of the skate as much as possible, and then make sure you get the skate within the grooves so it's not on the base of the mouse itself. And same thing, we're just going to line it up and place it down. Nice and easy. And it's completely air dried. And the sensor ring. Nice and easy. Nice. So we have the stock skates installed on the mouse, and we're going to do a very unofficial and non-scientific glide test just to see how they feel. This mouse pad is an artisan Heian in soft. We have the GPX2 here with core pads. These core pads are less than a month old. And then we have the Viper V2 Pro also with core pads less than a month old. Now we have the manual, very simple, a little glossy, warranty, and how to change DPI and report rate. You can use combinations of buttons to adjust the DPI, report rate, motion sync, and system mode directly on the mouse. Wow, okay. So instead of adding a button for the DPI, you just press a combination of buttons to change all of those features. So you may potentially don't even need software. I'll just have to look up the combinations. For more advanced settings such as macros, please visit Ninjutso for web-based configuration. So that's another big feature about this mouse is that there's no additional software to download. The software is going to be web-based. So you just go to your browser. Sometimes you do have to use a specific browser such as Chrome or Edge, but that's definitely going to become the standard for gaming mice because it's really just a hassle and bloat for your computer that isn't necessary. And so my keyboard, the Wooting 60HE, has a web-based software and it's really convenient and really nice. And moving on to the most important part, the stickers. So far, my initial impressions and the unboxing has been flawless. There's nothing wrong or any defects that I can tell, and everything feels absolutely premium. And the extremely light weight of 40 grams is so amazing. It really does just feel like a major weight off my hand. I can't even begin to imagine a mouse even lighter than this at 20 grams or so, but one day I'm definitely going to have to check one out. The build quality is fantastic and the shape is very nice for claw grip. I do normally tend to go closer to a relaxed claw grip than a very aggressive claw grip, where my fingers are very curled, but I could see either types of claw grip working well for this mouse depending on your hand size. It's also significantly smaller than both the Viper V2 Pro and the GPX. The GPX with the bigger egg-shaped hump really fills out the hand much more, and the Viper V2 Pro is definitely longer and maybe a little bit wider as well, but it's so much flatter that sometimes I have trouble getting a good claw grip on it because there's nothing really filling the back of my palm. So not only is the Sora V2 the lightest mouse I own, but also the smallest. Now, if your main grip style is a palm grip where your entire palm is flat on the mouse, this is actually something I would not recommend going with if your hand size is similar in length to mine, because you could already see my fingers going past the edge of the mouse by a good amount. And I could curl my fingers here, but this already starts to put my hand in that claw grip style more, since that's what it's designed for. I can't see any issues whatsoever if you fingertip only, where only your fingertips are gripping the mouse. This mouse would be wonderful. So claw grip, this is perfect. Fingertip grip, this is going to be perfect as well. Palm grip, that's the only thing you might want to be aware of and look for something else. There might just be better options out there. These unboxings and first impressions are just so much fun to do. I really do feel like that kid at Christmas. And so I'm going to go throw on those skates right now and try out this mouse. And I'm really excited to see if it performs as well as it feels. And I will be posting another video on the Sora V2 very soon after I've had a little time to actually use the mouse. So stay tuned for that in the next 24 to 48 hours. And because I'm also a very small channel, I'm still able to currently answer all of your comments on YouTube. So if you have any questions or concerns at all, feel free to ask and I'll do my best to get them as quickly as possible. So I hope this helps, guys, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.